The story of Middle English is a captivating tale of linguistic transformation, reflecting a time of great social, political, and cultural upheaval in England. It is a period that bridges the gap between the ancient and the modern, a time when the very fabric of the English language was being rewoven. Spanning roughly from the 12th to the late 15th centuries, Middle English emerged from the ashes of the Norman conquest, a pivotal event that reshaped the linguistic landscape of England. The conquest brought with it not just a change in rulers, but a profound transformation in the way people communicated. This period witnessed a fascinating fusion of Old English, the language of the Anglo-Saxons, and Norman French, the language of the conquerors. The blending of these two languages created a rich tapestry of words and expressions that would form the foundation of Middle English. Imagine a land where two languages, once rivals on the battlefield, now coexisted and intermingled in everyday life. In bustling marketplaces and quiet homes, English and Norman French speakers interacted, blending their languages in a unique and organic way. This linguistic fusion gave rise to a new form of English, one that was simpler in grammar but richer in vocabulary. The complex grammatical structures of Old English were gradually replaced by a more straightforward syntax, making the language more accessible. The intricate inflections of Old English gradually gave way to a more analytical word order, while Norman French infused the language with a wealth of new words, particularly in the domains of law, government, and courtly life. This infusion of vocabulary enriched the language, giving it a new depth and versatility. This period marked a turning point in the evolution of the English language, as it transitioned from the relatively homogeneous Old English to a more diverse and dynamic linguistic system. The manuscripts of the time reflect this change, showing a gradual shift in style and substance. The seeds of modern English were sown during this era as the language underwent significant changes in pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. These changes laid the groundwork for the English we speak today, making Middle English a crucial chapter in the story of our language. The year 1066 witnessed a seismic shift in the course of English history and language with the Norman conquest. This event was not just a military conquest, but a cultural and linguistic revolution. William the Conqueror, Duke of Normandy, vanquished the English forces at the Battle of Hastings, claiming the English throne and ushering in a new era of Norman rule. His victory marked the beginning of profound changes that would ripple through every aspect of English society. This momentous event had a profound and lasting impact on the English language, setting in motion a chain of linguistic changes that would shape its destiny for centuries to come. The influence of the Normans was felt in the very fabric of the language. The Norman conquest brought about a dramatic shift in the balance of power, not just politically but also linguistically. The English language, which had been evolving for centuries, was suddenly thrust into a new era of transformation. Norman French, the language of the court, administration, and the elite, became the language of prestige and power, while English was relegated to the language of the common people. This created a clear linguistic hierarchy that influenced social interactions and cultural developments. This linguistic divide had a profound impact on the development of English, as it was no longer the language of officialdom or scholarship. The common people continued to speak English, but it was seen as less refined compared to the sophisticated Norman French. However, the English language proved to be remarkably resilient. It adapted and evolved, absorbing influences from Norman French while retaining its core identity. Despite being overshadowed by Norman French, it continued to be spoken by the majority of the population. The everyday use of English by the common people ensured its survival and eventual resurgence. Over time, a fascinating process of linguistic fusion began to take place, as English and Norman French interacted and influenced each other. This interaction was not just limited to vocabulary, but extended to grammar and syntax as well. This linguistic blending gave rise to a new form of English, one that was enriched by Norman French vocabulary and influenced by its grammatical structures. The result was a more versatile and expressive language, capable of conveying a wider range of ideas and emotions. As Middle English began to take shape, it gradually reasserted itself in various domains of writing, particularly in prose. This period marked a significant transition from the dominance of Latin to the emergence of English as a literary language. While Latin remained the language of scholarship and religious texts, English started to reclaim its place in written form, albeit transformed by its encounter with Norman French. This blending of languages enriched English, making it more versatile and expressive. One of the earliest and most significant manifestations of Middle English prose was in religious writings, particularly sermons and devotional texts. These texts were crucial in making religious teachings accessible to the laypeople. Clerics and preachers sought to reach a wider audience, and they recognized the importance of communicating in the language understood by the common people. This shift was instrumental in spreading religious and moral teachings more effectively. These early sermons and religious treatises, often simple and direct in style, played a crucial role in shaping the development of Middle English prose. They laid the groundwork for future literary endeavors in the vernacular. Alongside religious prose, secular writing in Middle English also began to emerge, reflecting the growing interest in vernacular literature. This included a variety of genres, from romance to practical handbooks. Chronicles, historical accounts, and legal documents began to appear in English, albeit often influenced by French scribal conventions. These documents were essential in recording the history and governance of the time. These early prose works laid the foundation for the development of more diverse and sophisticated forms of prose writing in the centuries to come. They were the building blocks of a rich literary tradition that would flourish in later periods.